open our meeting. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. We are here for zoning board meeting. I will start with the roll call. Patrice Scott here. Freeman Plummer.
Here.
Tom McLaughlin.
Here.
Tom is our alternate. He's sitting in for Howard Burnham, who couldn't join us this evening. Butch Cushing.
Present.
And Omer C. Ahern, Jr.
Present.
Okay. All right. Has everybody had a chance, except for Tom, to look over the minutes? I would like to add a correction on the bottom of page, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, the very last bullet. It says, Patrice Scott noted that she had seen a lot of signs, including a sandwich sign, just make that a comma, and a sign attached to the flagpole, comma, advertising a volleyball. Other than that, I didn't see anything that needed to be corrected. Does anybody else have any additions? Nope. Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And Tom is abstaining. Okay. Right now, I will open the public hearing on application 214-006, request for a special exception from John March as an agent for David Sanborn of Holderness to construct an 8-unit mini storage building warehouse on a parcel 214-006 at the intersection of Tenny Mountain Highway and New Hampshire Route 25. Relief is requested from Article 3, Section 304 of the Plymouth zoning ordinance. The property is in the agricultural zone. Okay, Mr. Marsh, would you like to tell us what your application is?
John March, representing Dave Sanborn, here for the meeting.
Okay.
Members of the board, good to see you. Dave would like to put a small restaurant and 8 mini storage units on the property, as shown on the plan, which I presume everyone's had a chance to look at. I have more copies. Anyone look at? So would you like me to go through the list of reasons here?
Sure.
Number one, is the proposed use allowed in this ordinance by special exception? Yes, it is. Explain how the specific site is an appropriate location and of adequate size for the use. The site is a convenient location on a New Hampshire state maintained highway. We have designed for more than adequate access to the units, i.e. a full 24-foot width driveway, not 22 or 18. Number 3, explain how the use as developed will not adversely affect the character of the area in which the proposed use will be located. There are already many existing commercial uses existing in the neighborhood, easterly on Tenny Mountain Highway and westerly on Route 25, extending well into Romney, and I could add south into on Route 3A toward Bristol. Number 4, explain how there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. The site already has an existing curb cut, which is the start of the driveway. We're doubling the width of that, but that curb cut has been in place since, I believe, 1969.
Okay, Mr. March, could I ask, I drove out there today and I saw 2 driveways, and I'm wondering, is yours cut where it looks like they're clearing?
Yes.
And it's not the one that's already there existing for the charter school?
That's correct. It's
Okay.
separate.
Okay, thank you.
So there's already an existing curb cut and for vehicles. The neighborhood does not currently have, and may never have, although I'll never say never, sidewalks which would encourage pedestrian use. I mean, I like to see people walking instead of riding, but as a practical matter, people drive, and that's quite a ways out. 5, explain how the use will not place excessive or undue burden on town services and facilities. The site will have its own private septic system and its own well, and all parking will be on the property. Explain how there would be no significant effect resulting from such use upon the public health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood in which the use would be located. This allowable special exception is consistent with current existing uses in the neighborhood. A septic system with the latest technology will help promote public health. Mini storage units are basic building shells with electrical hookups only and should pose no safety hazards.
Did you want to describe what exactly what we have here where with the restaurant, or?
I believe it's going to be pizza and hamburgers. Sanborn.
Yeah,
Same
yeah, all right, sorry.
It's okay.
It's gonna be brick oven pizza and bread and burgers. You know, like microbrews, that kind of thing. But the outside facade's gonna look basically like an old barn. If you went out there today, across the street there's a lean-to. It has that red metal roof. Kind of that same concept. And the storage units, same thing. It'll be the shiplap pine vertical siding with the red metal roof. So that, you know, they'll both look basically the same, except the other one with the garage doors, which we'll probably paint like brown or something like that, kind of blend in. And then, sorry, go ahead.
I just noticed in the application it said something about you're going to put storage units above the restaurant?
No, topographically.
Oh, okay. I
Oh, yeah,
read
no,
that as
not
saying
above.
above.
No, elevation
No.
wise.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was like, no,
Yeah,
not
okay, because
upstairs.
I just wondered, I was curious as
Yeah.
to why that would be.
No.
Okay, so there, it's behind,
Right.
the restaurant's up front.
Yeah, I think he has them on the,
Yeah.
on the plan there.
Yeah. Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions?
I think so.
No?
There's also going to be, we have plans to put a fence. If you look on the map where the restaurant is and then where the storage units are, you can see there's an access kind of in the middle. And we were going to put, kind of where it says snow, we're going to put a fence on the right and left to that. So you can't really see it from the restaurant itself, and then it'll actually probably block it from the road.
Okay, and I think we have information on the size, the square footage that was provided also. So, okay, Omer?
I have
Yes?
some questions. Now, where, on the application that I was given, I don't see anything on here. My eyesight is poor. I've had some major surgery on both eyes over the last few years, and I had some, so I can't see too well. Like an O looks like a C or a G to me, and some E's and I's I can't even see. And I can't read anything on my right eye. So if there was some things here, I apologize. So, but I don't see anything in the packet that I have that talks about a small restaurant as part of this application. Is there something in here?
It's
Or
in
is it?
Yes.
it's in the planner report. It's
Oh,
detailed
it's
in the planner report.
But that's not on the application. Is it supposed
No,
to be part of the application?
no, I beg your pardon?
Isn't what they want to do with it supposed to be on their application?
Well,
Well, the restaurant is a permitted use.
that's
We're
permitted.
we're
All right,
asking
Okay,
we're asking for a special exception on
On the storage unit only, okay.
Right.
And that's where the questions are gonna be. May I continue, Madam
Sure.
Chairman? Thank you. A few months ago, we had a charter school in here, and we approved that, and I guess it got approved by the planning board, and so there's a charter school up there. Now, I've also heard that there's talk about a new school building going in on the adjacent property. So I'm concerned about the character of the neighborhood, okay? I'm concerned about 8 mini storage units being, and I don't know a lot about storage units myself, okay? So hopefully you're gonna educate me tonight a little bit on mini storage units 3 miles away from a major highway leading into central New Hampshire from Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island. So 8 mini storage units, and I think you may talk about the size of them there. Is there any, who is going to be controlling or monitoring what is stored in those mini storage units?
I am.
Okay. And how are you going to be doing that?
Through leases. I mean, I have some now up in Campton, and they all have a lease to them. Nothing's going to be stored outside. Obviously, with the restaurant right there, we don't want to make it look like an armpit that everybody can see.
But things that are stored inside, does your lease limit or exclude any certain items being stored in there?
Sure, like obviously no oil or waste oil and stuff like that. And if somebody wants to store a car in there, they can.
Now, they're going to have the lessees of these mini storage units. They're going to have a key, I would assume.
Yeah.
Okay. And they would have 24-hour day access to that property. You're not going to be on the property necessarily when they go in and put stuff into that unit, right?
Right.
They could store fertilizer in those units?
We don't have fertilizer on our lease, no.
Bags of fertilizer in your storage unit. They could store diesel fuel in that storage unit.
No.
They couldn't.
We don't want, no. There's no gas waste oil because my insurance won't let me.
But my question then, follow-up is, 10 o'clock at night, or after the restaurant's closed, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, somebody goes into a unit that they're leasing, they've paid their rent up, maybe they've paid their rent 5 years in advance, and they go in and they bring in 30 gallons of diesel fuel and they put it in this storage unit. How are you going to know that that's there?
Until I look in, I guess I wouldn't.
But why would they pay their rent? And
Well,
there's
just
no other
like
problem?
the apartments I have, you check them like every 6 months, or you check them periodically to make sure there's not, piles of stuff in there, that they're keeping it neat and that kind of stuff. But I mean, basically, they're storage units. If somebody wants to fill it with office furniture or chairs or whatever they want, that's really that's up to them.
That's my concern, whatever they want. That's my concern. There's a school building there with minor children, okay?
But not at 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, but after the materials that I'm concerned about are placed into that unit at 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the morning, and they are there when the kids are in school, or and especially if there's going to be a new school built out. I guess some of the concerns that I have is, if there's going to be another school there, what's the use of the neighborhood?
I need to address that. First of all, there's not another school building right now. The charter school would have to come back to the planning board for site plan review. What they have is a temporary building of an old used trailer. It's actually Bob Dragon's old office building for a temporary office for their special education services just through the winter. So it's mobile, it's on a axle with wheels and everything else. So,
with all due respect to the town planner, as a member of the ZBA, I'm concerned about, I'm here representing, people in the town of Plymouth. I have some concerns about mini storage units being there. The character of the neighborhood, there are single-family homes in that
I just
area.
want to clarify about a new school building. It's not a permanent structure, just.
But there's a school building there right now, okay? And I'm concerned, when I read over the zoning ordinance that we have, you talk about the character of the neighborhood, you talk about nuisance, and you talk about I'm just concerned about what could be in those storage units that could potentially pose a problem for other people in the neighborhood, okay? One of the things that you talked about in your rundown here is, will there be an increase in services? If you've got something flammable in there, and if you only check once every 6 months, with all due respect, and I know, people can sign all kinds of agreements, and they can violate the heck out of those agreements. And again, you may not know. I don't know what your entry requirements are, whether you have a key for those or not. Again, what I'm concerned about is safety for people in the neighborhood. And we live in a whole different world than we lived in 30 years ago. Okay, it's a whole different world out there. Again, we've got an interstate 5 miles away coming up from who knows where. And so what I'm concerned about is the safety of the neighborhood, and if there's any type of flammable materials or any explosive materials, or potentially explosive materials, fertilizer and diesel, that creates a problem for the police department, that creates a problem for the fire department, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Well, I mean, short of video cameras videotaping it all day long, there are, like the brick building across the street from where we are, I'm not sure anybody's even in there. So anybody could get in there 24 hours a day and put fertilizer or diesel fuel or any of those things. So it's kind of the same idea. Every one of those garages and those homes you're talking about, somebody could do the same exact thing. That brick building is not monitored by anybody, and as far as I've never seen anybody over there. I'm not saying there isn't, but somebody could do the same exact thing.
Right, Mr. Sanborn, do you have an ongoing business? I mean, it's usual? What do people usually use these storage units for? It's for furniture and access gear,
exactly.
Right? That's in your experience.
Whatever extra stuff they have kicking around
Right.
the house, and it's shocking how much extra stuff people have.
Right.
And that's what I foresee being stored there.
Right.
Is extra stuff.
Follow up, Madam Chairman?
Sure.
You don't do background checks on anybody that would want to rent from you a storage unit there, do you?
Yeah, I treat it the same way as the apartments.
So you do a background check on
Oh yeah, anything with social media and all that, I don't want to rent to someone who's going to be a pain in the butt or is a dirtbag or just as much as anybody else doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
With everything that's out there and you go online, you can find anything out about anybody.
Right.
But not me. I'm not a social media person, so I.
Well, like you said, it's not the same as it was, 20, 30 years ago. Now you can. That's what some of the stuff that people put online, I'm like,
Right.
Why are you putting that about yourself?
Right, and we can consider that when we, Omer, your concerns, we can certainly consider when we go through our criteria. But did anybody have any other, I was just interested in your hours of operation. I think in your application you mapped out that there might be different hours for the restaurant use versus people coming and going, but they come at any time for the
Yeah, with the storage units, they can.
But there's 8 of them, 8 mini.
Yeah, and typically, nobody does go past. I understand that
Right.
some people might,
Right.
but usually they're not there.
They want to go
at
in the
super
daytime
late
usually.
hours, right?
Yeah.
And as far as the restaurant goes, there's going to be a coffee shop in there, so they're from like 6 to like 11, and then we were going to be from like 4 to 10 or something like that.
Okay.
Too
Okay.
late.
So the coffee shop, is that part of? Are there 2 entities in the restaurant, or just all one?
No, it's just we're just
Running it as a coffee shop and for certain hours, and then.
Yeah,
We're just reviewing there's 2 buildings there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I just
I have a
going through
question,
the
since we're getting
application.
into use thing, you gonna have live music or anything in the restaurant, dancing?
Yeah, we were gonna have live music. I don't know how
Oh,
many
wow.
people are gonna
Wow.
bust out. I
Great.
mean, they can feel free if they want to.
Okay. Well, does anybody have any other questions about anything in the application?
Is this a time for public comment?
Yep, we will, I will open it for public comment. Everybody's set. So, would anybody like to make any comments in support of the application?
That's me.
Right. Well, you can, you're welcome to
Totally
say.
support it.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, have we
Yes.
officially opened the public hearing?
Well, I did earlier, but yeah, okay, I'll open the public part. Would anybody like to say anything in opposition to the application? Yes, sir. Could you just identify yourself?
My name is Larry Blaine. I'm a longtime resident of Plymouth.
Okay.
I know some of you, some not.
Yep.
I'm really speaking for Natalia, who is a friend and colleague of mine, and asked me to represent her. Now, I have quite a bit to say, but first, a question. Are there laws in New Hampshire about the proximity of a school and a bar? There are in nearly all states.
There are. This doesn't come into play with this, but right now it's getting a little far afield here. It's wandering over into site plan a little bit, because sometimes there is overlap, but that would have to be determined at site plan. This is about two main structures on a lot and the parameters they're in. I mean, if the uses are absolutely incongruous and horrific, that would be a consideration. And certainly to take your point, but I don't know, maybe
My point is simply there must be laws. Either there are or
Well,
not.
there
and
are,
if there are,
there
what
are.
do they say?
Maybe Mr. March at some point could
Is this a bar?
No, there is a bar within the restaurant,
Therefore,
a
it
bar
is a bar.
area like there are in most restaurants around here.
Just serving drinks in the restaurant.
Right.
Okay. There'll be
I
a,
think we're getting an answer out of that, Larry.
yeah,
All right. Well,
okay. Just what is your concern, Mr. Blaine?
well, there was a comment I hadn't really intended to make, but I think it should definitely be investigated. I mean, you don't see a bar next to a school, but that's not a point at this point, since I don't know. Okay, I realize this is the agricultural zone. Now, at this point, there is exactly one structure on the traffic circle. It is the historic Circle House. Natalia owns and lives in the Circle House. I'm a frequent visitor there. So when we talk about the neighborhood towards Rumney, there are businesses, restaurants. I know them very well, but there's nothing on the circle itself. In my opinion, the idea of putting a business right on that circle is simply appalling. The traffic situation there is terrible. I can tell you from observation how many times in the wintertime especially I've been coming from Plymouth, turning right into the Circle House. People don't expect it. They're right behind you. I've nearly been rear-ended half a dozen times. I'm just always really careful about it. We see cars going the wrong way on the circle because they don't know it. It's fairly confusing. If you add a business, not a quarter mile down the road, but right on the circle, you have compounded this problem tremendously. Once again, I understand that it being the ag zone, there's not much that can be done about that, but I do urge you to minimize the problem by not allowing anything extra. As far as the storage spaces near the school, I don't know anything about that. Again, what the law says about that, it just strikes me slightly odd. I mean, most of these storage spaces, I mean, there are several nearby, are quite large operations. I don't quite understand an 8-unit storage space, but again, that's, I suppose, neither here nor there. The traffic situation is bad enough, as I said, that you should not allow anything besides what you are required to allow by the law. A few other situations. Again, this would completely change the character of the neighborhood. The neighborhood, once again, consists of that single house at that point. There's a Circle House, there's a attached barn, there's an unattached barn, there's a billboard for Polar Caves, and that is the immediate neighborhood, adding a restaurant and bar there would change it into a completely different sort of thing. Especially as was mentioned, if there is live music, I can promise you there will be a complaint to the police every time it's heard, because we do have a noise ordinance in Plymouth. I think that says my piece, so
Okay.
questions?
I have a question for you for the Circle House. How many how many guests are allowed in the Circle House?
It's a private residence, basically Natalia
Oh,
owns
it's
it.
not the bed and breakfast?
Oh, no, that Bert Sutcliffe's idea, but he never
Right.
went
Oh,
through it.
okay.
I
I
think
thought it
he,
was
I
an
think he
ongoing-
abandoned the idea for that very reason. It's just not a good place to have a business.
Right.
I mean, it's nice to be located, on the highway, but be located on the traffic circle is another story.
I think the federal house is 2 doors up, isn't
Right,
it?
the federal
The
house.
federal
is
house,
on
but
the
that's
street.
not on the circle. That's
Right.
just far off the circle to
Right, it's not a bed.
save
Okay,
the-
I wasn't
save the
aware of
problem.
that.
And then you got that fitness place, right? That fitness
Right,
studio.
right.
And a few
Just
other
beyond.
commercial
Right.
uses there.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you got the Northeast Restaurant there.
right, and you got the painting place, right, or flooring place?
They've
And
been
Yeah,
there
that's
for,
right.
they've been there for years and years and years,
It's
but
got to
they're
be
not.
kind of a
they're
commercial
not-
strip out there.
Oh, it is a commercial strip, but not on the circle itself.
Okay.
The fitness is 100 yards down. The
Yeah.
Remington's now used to be the steak barn, quarter mile down the road.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about stuff being built out there, but nobody's really come through so far, I
Right.
think, There's a big lot there that I remember having a for sale sign on it for years, and,
It still does.
yeah, it still does. Yeah. Let's hope they build a single family.
All right.
We'll see.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Blaine.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to say something? Yeah, okay. Eleanor?
Eleanor Plummer.
Mm-hmm.
When I first saw the plans, and my mind hasn't changed, I looked at and I thought of a restaurant there that's asking for an accident to happen. Those roads come together and break apart, and like Larry said, there's quite often people don't know where they're going, and they get on the road, and then all of a sudden they make a turn. Oh, I don't want to go there. And I think it's an accident waiting to happen. And as far as Omer, I never thought about storing what would be stored in the storage units, but he's talking about fuel. That wouldn't be my concern. My concern would be, how many school shootings has there been? And who knows what's in the boxes that are going in? Ammunition? You can't see. An ordinary cardboard box could be loaded.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you, Eleanor.
Man, we got quite a heightened sense of security and paranoia since I was on this board all the time.
I also would like to say a
Natalia?
couple of words. I really greatly appreciate the concern about neighborhood and about people. Very few words about people here. So business, business, business. I live there. It will make me feel very unsafe, very insecure, having people constantly on the go there, back and forth, storing something at night, coming in and out. Yes, restaurant is very unpleasant. Loud music, drunk people, very unpleasant in that neighborhood, which I bought this house for one reason, and one reason only: safe, reasonably quiet, and no loud music. It wasn't anywhere in the prospects. For me personally, probably my personal safety is the biggest concern right here. And again, very strange idea, small storage. There are a lot of big storages available much closer to the highway. So who would be coming here in the kind of hidden away place, hiding at night something in those 8 storage units? I can only guess. I will sleep much worse at night. That's all I can say.
Well, thank you. Okay, I'll close the public hearing.
Madam Chairman, I have to reiterate here, we've got to keep this very straight here. We could get in some very murky waters if that happens to be the course of action here. This is about two main structures on a lot. I think it would be kosher at this point to ask Mr. Sanborn which would be the primary use he is going after and which would be the secondary use, if you will, because both of these uses are allowed on this lot. The fact of the matter is that they are asking for two on the same lot. It's not what they are.
Right.
It's two, and we're getting way far afield here. This really, I certainly understand and appreciate all the commentary, but that is a lot more germane to site plan, and this is not site plan. This is ZBA review, so perhaps Mr. Sanborn could.
Okay, Mr. Sanborn, would you like to answer that and tell us what's the main purpose, the restaurant use or the mini storage use?
I guess I'd have to say the restaurant. I mean, I don't like being categorized in the same sentence as school shootings and blowing people up because I'm building a storage unit. That's a little irritating, but again, this is just to see if we can put two buildings in one spot. But I guess I would have to say the restaurant. And when we said live music, I didn't mean like AC/DC is going to be playing there.
Right.
I meant like people with acoustic guitars, because we all play acoustic music. That's the kind of music I'm talking about. But being looked at like a demon because I have 8 storage units that I'm putting in there is way off what we're trying to figure out tonight.
Right, well, but we're just want to make sure that the restaurant is your primary purpose, and the reason you're here is to ask for a special exception because you're asking for two uses on the same lot.
Right.
And one of them is 8 mini storage units, and one's the restaurant, but the restaurant will be the main usage. And
right.
That's what you.
The reason I'm bringing that up is because there has been a lot of discourse about the restaurant, and that is not the purview of this board. Were it to be only one structure on here, i.e. the restaurant,
right.
Mr. Sanborn
right.
wouldn't even be here
That's
tonight. So this
use.
is where this is getting
right.
really far afield here. Just a cautionary comment.
Okay, well,
If I may, Madam Chairman, I'm looking at the Article 12 of the Board of Adjustment ordinance. And Section 1204. We're here for a special exception, right? If I'm wrong, you know, please correct me. The Board of Adjustment may, in appropriate cases and subject to safeguards as determined by the board, grant a permit for a special exception. And what I see in front of me was an 8-unit mini storage, okay? It goes on to say, the board in acting on an application shall take into consideration the following condition. Number 1, proposed units shall be only those allowed by this ordinance by special exception. Number 2, the specific site is an appropriate and of adequate size for the use. Number 3, the use as developed will not adversely affect the character of the area in which the proposed use will be located. Number 4, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Number 5, the use will not place excessive or undue burden on town services and facilities. Number 6, there would be no significant effect resulting from such use upon the public health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood in which the use would be located. So that's where my questions are coming from.
Yeah. No, I understand. I'm just saying the level of scrutiny on both of these
okay, I
two
don't
structures.
think we need to discuss anything other than get to our criteria, but before we do that, I'd like to have some findings of fact from our discussion. We could start by saying the lot is in the agricultural zone. The lot is 1.02 acres.
You're doing them all, huh? The lot is in a busy area in the rural side of town, right on the highway.
Lot is in What should we say?
Busy area, it's kind of a busy area for
Yeah.
that rural side. I mean, if you go the other way, on the other side of the circle, there's nothing.
Right.
Up until you get up to the wagon wheel there.
So do you mean commercial? I mean busy commercial area, or just?
Well, I don't think it's a
you mean
busy commercial, I just think there's a lot of traffic coming and going
Okay.
there.
Okay, anyone? I'd like to just say the eight unit mini storage plus restaurant.
Yeah.
The application.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So it's part of the applicants are actually kind of proposing two businesses on this site, which they aren't uncomplimentary. I mean, you know, we all know that running restaurants are really tough business, and maybe those storage units will help this guy hold on during the lean times and, you know, make it a successful project. I mean, just being a sole restaurant out there could be kind of a pioneer. I mean, you've got to drag them from all town. You know, that's the thing. I think that on that side, that's kind of encouraging. But anyhow, he does seem to be proposing two different businesses on one site.
Right.
Which is only an acre, but that acre can be pretty big. You know?
There is a curb cut, this is just a point of information already, because it fronts on a state highway, DOT will have to provide an amended driveway permit. I believe there was one before when the original owner of this property, I can't remember his last name, and it didn't have to go before the ZBA, but it did go before the planning board for site plan approval, and that was obviously one of the caveats, is that any...
We have applied for the DOT.
Yeah, so nothing will fly unless there's a DOT permit, which will take into consideration. They will
Right.
do an analysis on the traffic.
Right, the safety issues will be handled at the site plan review, I know that. I wanted to just add that the storage units will be screened.
That it does abut a school lot. You might as
It
well
abuts,
just say that.
yep, that's good, abuts lot with a school.
Yeah, with the new school. Yeah.
Anybody?
There are existing commercial uses already out in that area.
Yep, existing mixed uses in neighborhood. All right, anything else? Okay, now why don't we go through our criteria? Number 1, the proposed use shall be only those allowed in the ordinance by special exception.
True.
That's
True.
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 Okay. All true, all right. Number 2, the specific site is an appropriate location and of adequate size for the use.
All the setbacks are met. There's no variance request for the setbacks.
Yep. Freeman?
True.
Okay, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, Patrice, true.
True.
Rich,
I'm going to disagree. False. I think
Okay.
it's an inappropriate.
Okay. Number 3, the use as developed will not adversely affect the area, the character of the area in which the proposed use will be located.
True. Yeah, that's hard when you've got a busy area like that and you got a single family. That's difficult, but with the other commercial applications that are probably gonna come down the line, I think this is gonna seem pretty. I think it's true.
Okay. I will also vote true and note the mixed use of the area. Okay.
True.
I disagree again. I think it's
Okay.
adversely affecting
Homer.
the area, the neighborhood, the locale. So I just.
Okay, can we articulate a reason, Homer? just the, because of the
The single family, it's the only, the character of the neighborhood, I think, is going more toward school and personal type uses like that. There isn't anything else on that circle. There's a restaurant on the other side of the circle that, you know, is closed, a little bit up the road, so, you know, there's been some attempts there. Is he still asking, you know, for 8 units of storage there and a restaurant, or are we just talking about a restaurant? I just think,
Well, we're talking about both,
Yeah,
Omar.
okay.
The special exception is being granted for the 8 units,
Yeah.
allowed to be.
It's being granted for 8 units in the context of 2 main structures
Right.
on the lot.
Right.
when you talk about the safety of the neighborhood, the safety of people living in that neighborhood, the traffic patterns, I would have thought that they would have brought some information to us about, you know, and maybe the DOT is going to do its thing, so maybe they're
That's more
jumping the
site
gun.
review.
But again, I'm concerned about safety. I think that's one of the things that we need to look at as a zoning board, and the use of that property and how it's going to affect the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood, and the general character. And I'm going to say false, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Number 4, there will be no nuisance or serious hazard to vehicles or pedestrians. Freeman?
I'm going to say false, because I believe going out onto that highway any time of day or night at that particular point, I think it's going to cause a traffic hazard.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, it's just a 2-lane highway here. It's like, this isn't an exit off of 93.
Well, if somebody's going onto that highway and they decide they want to turn left towards Rumney,
Yeah. Oh,
it's,
yeah. The Circle House there has got a funky entrance. I think they got a double-sided driveway there. I don't know. As far as, I don't think the car's coming and going. And then they've got another driveway right next door to you that just got approved. It's like, how can you say it works for him and school buses stopping and turning and tell this guy that, you know, his use is too heavy? I don't think I think it's true.
Okay, true. I also believe it's true. Butch?
There are about 18,000 cars a day on that highway, so I'm going to say true too.
Okay, Omer?
This is number 4?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm with false.
Okay, Freeman and Omer, false. Okay. Number 5, the use will not place excessive or undue burden on town services and facilities.
true.
True.
I believe that's true.
True.
False?
Okay, Omer. And 6, there would be no significant effect resulting from such use upon the public health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood in which the use would be located.
True.
True.
Okay, I believe that's true. Butch?
True.
False?
Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the exception.
Approve the special exception.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tom, how did you vote?
Aye.
Aye, okay. And opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, Omer, opposed. All right.
Great.
And do we need to state any conditions? I would just say what we have in our report. I was happy to see that you were going to screen, willing to screen and put a fence around, but that'll all be taken care of at
That's all
site plan
site
review.
plan, right, and
So-
as I said, it won't pass muster unless there's a DOT approved permit,
Right,
because it's a
for-
state highway, so that's, it either works or it
Safety
doesn't.
concerns
Yeah.
will also be issued or discussed at the planning board. And I just like to say appreciate people coming out, and we are very restrained by what we have to consider in our criteria. So I know we can't always please everybody, but I'm happy to accommodate any objections that people have, and that's the way this process works.
Madam Chair, the applicant will be going before the planning board on November 19th
Okay,
for site plan review, so you'll get another notification so you can come to that meeting and discuss the particulars, the minutia that this board wasn't really couldn't address.
right. It's not our job. We are concerned with the uses, but we also
Yeah.
say good luck with
Thank you.
developing, and hopefully our any
luck with
fears will
making
be
it through the planning
allayed.
Thank you
Okay,
very much, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Members of the board.
you're welcome. All right, and let's see, I don't think we have anything else, other business, let me see, unfinished business, I don't think we have any.
Ma'am?
Do you have anything for us?
No, I don't,
Sharon?
no.
Okay, no new business, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Freeman? Okay,
Say that.
Tom?
Yep,
Second.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. All right, all in favor?
Hey, John, do you want this?